Echo Station 3TA.
We have spotted Imperial Walkers.
Imperial Walkers on the north bridge.
Echo Station 5-7. We're on our way. All right, boys, keep tight now.
Luke, I have no approach vector. I'm not set.
Steady, Dak. Attack pattern Delta.
Go now.
All right, coming in. Bobby, you still with me? That armor's too strong for blasters. Rogue group, use your harpoons and tow cables. Go for the legs. It might be our only chance of stopping them. All right, stand by, Dak.
Oh, Luke, we've got a malfunction in fire control. I'll have to cut in the auxiliary.
Just hang on. Hang on, Dak. Get ready to fire that tow cable.
Because Harrison Ford flipping out is, could happen. Could happen. Unrelated to the script.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say, though, there's so many great actors in that movie that add an element to that fabric. And there's also the famous, Wampa attack sequence that was cut out that just didn't work. Well, actually, I would argue that it actually worked it more effectively. Like Joe Alves always told us, meaning you and me on Combat Radio, that the Shark and Jaws worked. It worked so well that it led to the decision to cut it out and be this super effective movie. So it still worked. It's like the Wampa attack. Yeah. He always says he gets very upset when you say the shark didn't work, because I think and rightfully so, it was a critical piece of his resume. But he said, so when the Wampa attack doesn't work in Empire Strikes Back, it actually works real well because it leads you to cutting a more effective Snow Beast entrance, right? So because it didn't work the way they wanted it, all of a sudden you got this thing popping up and the images, and it's so intriguing. I mean, so does it work, or does it work better because it didn't work? I guess that's you know what I'm talking about?
And one of the shots is still in the trailer for the film. There's a shot with 3PO ripping off this sign off the door, and the Wampas are behind the door. So in the deleted footage, the stormtroopers come in, and one of them opens the door, and his hand reaches out and grabs a stormtrooper and pulls him in and closes the door. Which I guess tone-wise, maybe it wasn't, right.
I mean, the sequence doesn't need it. There's so many fantastic moments in that whole Echo Base battle sequence that I don't think you need to add the Wampa. Howie Weed signed some Wampa pictures because he did it in the later special features re-release. He played the Wampa for the added features. But I actually think Alan Austin or John may be the snowtrooper rather, in that sequence who gets yanked. There's a famous picture they sent me that they all signed, which is an outtake of them all tripping over each other because, they garrotted Darth Vader. They were walking behind him and they could not see, and somebody stepped on Prowse's cape and literally almost lynched him. And there's a scene, and they all fell down, and someone shot a photo, and we put that out at auction too at some of our charity events, a photo of them all tumbling over each other. And people look at it and go, that wasn't in the movie. I go, no, that was shot on the set. It's a mistake. And anyway, it's fun to talk about these
I never saw that.
Oh, I've got one for you if you want. It's the least we can do is send you a little Empire Strikes Back picture signed by all the snowtroopers. I mean,
I'll send you the book then.
Yeah, please. I want that book. But everyone played, they all played like 5 or 6. Like Chris Parsons is the white C-3PO, and he's a bounty hunter later. And Bullock would take us behind the scenes. Bullock's half-brother was the producer on it, so he had a lot of good stories from him on the production side of things, too, who recently passed away.
Robert Watts.
Watts. Watts also worked on the Raiders franchise. He was
Yeah, he was a sweet man, just a really nice guy,
Yeah.
but tough when he needed to be.
And you need to be on these movies because it's a clown
Yes.
car. So you need to you need that personality who's a good personality and can also anchor your. So you overall you're at the set and you're trying to get your head around it. Probably how long were you out there?
Was there for about a week.
Yeah.
And
Was it hard to leave?
Well, I was, you know what, I was so overwhelmed. Well, and here's another thing. We were interviewing cast and crew,
Right.
and so we had an interview with John Barry, the production designer, who also did Star Wars and Superman, and really nice man. And during the interview, he started feeling unwell and asked if we could continue the interview later. And he went home, and he had passed away by 2 o'clock the next morning. He had meningitis, and it was infectious meningitis. So Craig and I were quarantined because we were talking to him for almost 2 days until he finally determined that we could go. So it was a little frightening there at the end, but I still hated to go. You know, you're in the midst of something that is so energized and you know, amazing and such a wondrous thing to watch, and then you have to go back, you know, to reality.
Yes, I describe film sets as you're excited to get to them. You're more excited to leave. You know, it becomes one of those things where after 15 minutes, you know, it's like, all right, get me out of here. Bill Daly and I ran into each other over the weekend at Sammy Davis Jr.'s 99th birthday celebration. His family puts on at the headstone.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, it was really cool, actually. You would have loved it. And we were talking a little bit about how he could not go down to the film sets because people thought it meant that they were going to get fired or, you know, but someone who's nondescript like myself, when I was at Warner Bros., I can go on all those film sets and, you know, Solaris and all those things. And it was exciting to be there and check them out. And then after like 15, 20 minutes, you're like, all right, I'm out. It's like, what are you guys serving for lunch? Okay, I'm out. I'm out. But, you know, it's like, take me to the moment from working on the film to when you see it for the first time and you're seeing some of the stuff you saw be put in place set-wise in real time, and now you're watching the magic come together on the big screen.
Well, first of all, before the premiere, I didn't put this in the book, but there was going to be a screening at Warner Hollywood. I can't remember who it was for. So they had me deliver the work print up to the projection booth, and then they said, okay, then you just need to leave. And I got up there and gave the projectionist the film, and then said, I have to stay with the film. They told me I have to stay with the film. So I stayed in the booth while they ran the film and watched it, and was blown away. I mean, it was amazing. And then during, I attended some of the ADR sessions, and then finally, the night it opened at the Egyptian in Hollywood. It opened at 12:01 a.m. on the 21st of May, 1980, and some of the publicity staff at Lucasfilm and some of the publishing staff too, and I all went and went in, and when that first blast of John Williams music came up, the audience went crazy.
Of course,
we lost the first two reels because you couldn't hear anything. You couldn't hear the dialogue because they were too busy cheering. And I've very rarely had this happen, but we all looked at each other and then we cried because it was such an intense emotional experience to see people enjoying something they've been waiting for 3 years to see, you know, and appreciating it. And it really is, the emotional response was something I didn't expect.